Hi, these are the top 10 films of 2022. When I say top, I mean my personal favourite films. I usually wait a couple of months to do an end of year list, as I've not seen nearly enough of the films that came out, but I thought I'd do it now so that I could get your recommendations of what your favourite films were of this year, so please leave those down below. Anyway, let's get on with the list. In at number 10, Moon Age Daydream. Who doesn't love David Bowie? Bowie. One of the great things about him was that he was totally unique, and any documentary about him should be as well. This isn't a sort of straightforward documentary in a sort of David was born in 1947 in London. No, it's about the music, it's about colour, and it's all mixed with interviews and clips of old movies and surreal imagery. On the big screen, it was as close to seeing Bowie come back to life as possible. It isn't about the man, it's about the magic that he created. And my lord, was it better than the biopic Stardust that also came out this year.
Hello.
Name?
David Bowie.
In at number 9, The Northman. Robert Eggers further proves himself as a must-see director. This Viking revenge film is Eggers' most straightforward movie, and yet still pretty mental. It's a nihilistic, violent, sexually charged, macho, bizarre picture. The cinematography is stunning, and it's got Bjork in it, which is always a good thing.
I will avenge you, father! I will save you, mother! I will kill you, Fiona!
I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you, Fiona.
In at number 8, Decision to Leave. Park Chan-wook's twisted romantic thriller. We follow a detective struggling with insomnia who falls in love with a widow whose husband died in a mysterious fashion, falling from a mountain. It's full of twists and turns. It looks fantastic and has great set decoration throughout. But the chemistry between its two leads is what makes this film really stand out. Particular Tang Wei, who gives her best performance since Lust Caution.
규동수 씨 아내 송설아입니다.
많이 놀라셨겠습니다.
웃는 거 봤어?
In at number 7, All Quiet on the Western Front. A truly harrowing war film. I love the 1930 adaptation and was reluctant to watch this new one, but the fact that it's made by Germans makes this version totally justified. It's a more brutal film than the original, and it's sometimes quite hard to watch. One battle scene in particular is up there with some of the greatest war scenes in film history. It captures the period perfectly, but has a very modern score which is ominous and works a treat. Not an easy watch, but a great film. In at number 6, Triangle of Sadness. This movie is clearly not for everyone. While it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, it got a very mixed reaction from critics. I get that. It's a very uneven film, but when it works, it really works. It's split into 3 very distinct parts. The first is set in the fashion world, and much like Ruben Östlund's 2014 film Force Majeure, features wonderful, tricky couple relationships. Here, featuring one of the great couple arguments in film. The second part, its most notorious section, takes place on a luxury cruise full of the ghastly rich, and doesn't hold back attacking and humiliating them. Some critics said that the mega-rich were an easy target. That's true, but who cares? It's the goddamn mega-rich. The humorous sort of Le Grand Bouffe meets Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. It's grotesque and hilarious, and Woody Harrelson gives a brilliant performance as the drunken captain. The third part is its most obvious and weakest, a role reversal scenario that feels rather similar to many morality tales of the past. That said, it still has some funny moments, and the cast continues to delight.
You looks paid for the tickets. Not bad, huh?
So what do you do?
I sell shit.
In at number 5, Barbarian. This was such a fun night out in the cinema. It may fall lower down my list with repeat viewings, but this was a film that showed the wonders of the collective experience. I saw it in a sold-out theatre in Chicago. Now, usually I hate people talking during a screening, but shouts of "Don't go down there, you stupid bitch," or "What the fuck is that?" added something to this grotesque, surprising Airbnb horror. The film starts with a great simple premise. A woman arrives in Detroit and finds a stranger has seemingly booked the same holiday home. She doesn't trust him, and then the film takes turn after turn until it's almost an entirely different picture. It's scary, funny, and horrible in the best possible ways.
This process might seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it can soon become a pleasurable experience.
In at number 4, Tar. This long psychological drama features my favourite Cate Blanchett performance. She plays a world-famous composer, and we follow her as her life begins to unravel. What's truly brilliant about the film is that the central character is a deeply flawed person. A successful woman who uses her power often to satisfy her own weaknesses. She's not just a monster, she's a complicated human. It's a great character study, and a very brave central performance from Blanchett. The film deals with many contemporary issues in an interesting fashion. The film doesn't preach, it just shows and lets us decide for ourselves. An adult film that's not a fun watch, but a riveting one nevertheless. In at 3, Top Gun Maverick. One hell of a cinema-going experience. This had no right to be this good. The first Top Gun is fine, and the first half of this blockbuster is okay. Rather obvious with nothing new to say. But the second half is a roller coaster ride that deserves to be seen on the biggest screen possible. The airborne conflict action is exceptional. The shots of actors in jets going at insane speeds add so much, and at the centre of it all is little Tom Cruise. What a madman, but a lunatic who loves cinema and held out releasing this on video on demand so that it had a proper cinematic run, and the gamble paid off. This was a huge hit, and deservedly so. It's balls to the wall action, thin on plot, but it's not trying to be anything other than entertaining, and it's astonishingly entertaining.
Having any fun yet?
In at number 2, Flux Gourmet. A lot of people will hate this comedy about gastrointestinal problems, but I loved it. Peter Strickland is such a unique director. He creates these small, surreal worlds that suck you in with peculiar humour and truthful human touches. His latest Odd World takes place in a manor that hosts experimental food artists. Strickland has tremendous fun taking the piss out of the pretentious art world. A lot of it is about the creative process and how people clash trying to get across their odd visions, something Strickland is clearly used to himself. But at the centre of the film is one man's problem with his troubled guts. The resident journalist at the house is suffering from flatulence, diarrhea, and pain. The film has some fun at his expense, but also shows the hardship of people dealing with something that's both worrying and embarrassing. This is such a common issue, and Strickland felt that not enough films have dealt with it. Like all of his films, it looks fabulous, and although there is plenty of strange, gorgeous imagery, it's all still about the characters. There are some brilliant performances, including my personal favourite performance from Gwendoline Christie. The film is not for everyone. Strickland is an acquired taste, but I'm so glad he's still able to raise the money to make these divisive films.
I'm sorry.
And in at number 1, The Banshees of Inisherin. The trio of director Martin McDonagh and actors Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who made the hilarious In Bruges 14 years ago, reunite for another black comedy. This one, though, deeper and more affecting while still being hilarious. Taking place in 1923 on a small island in Ireland, we follow Farrell's dull and stupid farmer who is hurt when his drinking buddy, Gleeson, says he no longer wants to talk to him as life is too short to talk to a dull, nice guy. And he wants to spend the rest of his life composing music that he will be remembered for when he dies. Farrell can't understand this and keeps badgering him until Gleeson tells him for every time he talks to him from now on, he will cut off one of his own fingers. The story from there gets darker and darker, while always remaining funny. It is simultaneously downbeat, but also with a strange, almost fairy tale quality to it. The film isn't about the meaning of life, it's asking if there can be one. It's about death, about whether there is a point to all this. It's about escalating violence, brilliantly shown as well, with just the sound of explosions coming from the mainland, with the protagonist not knowing which side is responsible. The cast is brilliant, especially the two leads, who have such excellent chemistry together. Deep, funny film, under 2 hours, that filled me with emotion when watching it. I hope we don't have to wait another 14 years for this trio to reunite.
I just don't like you no more.
You do like me.
I don't.
You liked me yesterday.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Right, so counting down my top 10. In at number 10, Moon Age Daydream. In at number 9, The Northman. In at number 8, Decision to Leave. In at number 7, All Quiet on the Western Front. In at number 6, Triangle of Sadness. In at number 5, Barbarian. In at number 4, Tar. In at number 3, Top Gun Maverick. In at number 2, Flux Gourmet. And in at number 1, The Banshees of Inisherin. Well, those are my personal top 10 films of 2022. There's loads I haven't seen, so please do include your favourite films down below. Anyway, cheers. Happy New Year.